Amitabha continues with Kevaddha's story. There was a priest in Benares, a man of Brahmin caste, learned in all the wisdom of the Vedas, not of the common type of priests, but an honest searcher after truth. He longed for peace of heart and was anxious to reach nirvana, yet he could not understand how it was possible in the flesh to attain perfect tranquility, for life is restless, and in none of the four states of aggregation can that calmness be found, which is the condition of the blissful state. So this priest thought to himself, before I can make any progress, I must solve the question, where do the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air, utterly cease? Having prepared his mind, the priest entered into a trance in which the path to those considered to be gods became revealed to him, and he drew near to where the four great kings of these entities were. And having drawn near, he addressed the four great kings as follows. In the Kevaddha, you have four demon kings, so, my friends, where do the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air utterly cease? When he had thus spoken, the four great kings answered and said, we gods, O priest, do not know where the four states of aggregation utterly cease. However, O priest, there are gods of the higher heavens who are more glorious and more excellent than we. They would know where the four states of aggregation utterly cease. So something more than the elementals. But what do they mean? What word are they using for gods? When the four great kings had thus spoken, the priest visited the entities of the higher heavens and approached the ruler, Ishvara. He propounded the same question and received the same answer. Ishvara, the Lord, had advised the priest to go to Yama. He is powerful and has charge over the souls of the dead. He is apt to be versed in problems that are profound and recondite and abstruse and occult. Go to Yama. He may know where the four states of aggregation utterly cease. The priest acted upon Ishvara's advice and went to Yama, but the result was the same. Yama sent the priest to the satisfied entities, whose chief ruler is the great satisfied one. They are the entities who are pleased with whatever is. They are the entities of serenity and contentment. If there is anyone who can answer your question, they will be able to tell you where the four states of aggregation utterly cease. And so we see the problem of the personifications and the divisions can't answer, right? Then the same priest entered again upon a state of trance in which his thoughts found the way to the Brahma world. There the priest drew near to where the entities of the retinue of Brahma were. And having drawn near, he spake to the entities of the retinue of Brahma as follows. In the Quran, there's the idea of the, the 8 loyal angels bearing the throne. Brahma as follows. My friends, where do these four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air utterly cease? When he had thus spoken, the entities of the retinue of Brahma answering spake as follows. We, O priest, cannot answer your question. However, there is Brahma, the great Brahma, the first cause of all, the supreme being, the all-perfection, all-perceiving one, the controller, the Lord of all, the creator, the fashioner, the chief, the victor, the ruler, the all-father. He who is more glorious, more excellent than all celestial beings, he will know where the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air do utterly cease. Said the priest, but where, my friends, is the great Brahma at the present moment? And the entities answered, we do not know, O priest, where the great Brahma is, or in what direction the great Brahma can be found. But inasmuch, O priest, as he is omnipresent, you will see signs and notice a radiance and appearance of an effulgence, and then Brahma will appear. This is the previous sign of the appearance of Brahma, that a radiance is noticed, or an effulgence appears. The priest, having invoked Brahma's appearance with due reverence, and according to the rules of the Vedas, in a short time Brahma appeared. Then the priest drew near to where Brahma was, and having drawn near, he spake to Brahma as follows: my friend, where did the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air, utterly cease? When he had thus spoken, the great Brahma opened his mouth and spake as follows: I, O priest, am Brahma, the great Brahma, the supreme being, the all-perfection, the all-perceiving one, the controller, the Lord of all, the creator, the fashioner, the chief, the victor, the ruler, the all-father. A second time the priest asked his question, and the great Brahma gave him the same answer, saying, I, O priest, am Brahma, the great Brahma, the supreme being, the all-perfection. And he did not cease until he had enumerated all the titles applied to him. Having patiently listened to Brahma, the priest repeated his question a third time and added, I'm not asking you, my friend, are you Brahma, the great Brahma, the supreme being, the all-perfection, the all-perceiver, the all-father, whatever titles and accomplishments you may have in addition. But this, my friend, is what I ask you. Where do the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air utterly cease? The great Brahma remained unmoved and answered a third time, saying, I, O priest, am Brahma, the great Brahma, the supreme being, the all-perfection, the all-perceiver, enumerating again all the titles applied to him. Well, it can be a way of saying, hey, these things start and end in me, right? Now the priest arose and said, are you truly a living being or an automation, that you can do nothing but repeat a string of words? And now the great Brahma rose from his seat and approached the priest, and leading him aside to a place where he could not be overheard by any of the entities, spake to him as follows: the entities of my suit and all the worshippers of the world that honor me with sacrifice and adoration believe that Brahma sees all things, knows all things, has penetrated all things. Therefore, O priest, I answered you as I did in the presence of these entities. But I will tell you, O priest, in confidence, that I do not know where the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air utterly cease. It was a mistake, O priest, that you left the earth where the Blessed One resides, and came up to heaven in quest of an answer which cannot be given you here. Turn back, O priest, and having drawn near to the Blessed One, the enlightened Buddha, ask him your question, and as the Blessed One shall explain it to you, so believe. Now see, so when we divide things into a bunch of so-called gods and stuff like this, the human is the only one that can refer to them all, right? You know, if that was the case. But thereupon the priest, as quickly as a strong man might stretch out his bent arm, disappeared from the Brahma heaven and appeared before the Blessed One, and he greeted the Blessed One and sat down respectfully at one side and spake to the Blessed One as follows: Reverend Sir, where the four states of aggregation, the solid state, the watery state, the fiery state, and the state of air utterly cease. When he had thus spoken, the Blessed One answered as follows: Once upon a time, O priest, some seafaring traders had a land-sighting bird where they sailed out into the sea, and when the ship was in mid-ocean, they set free that land-sighting bird. The bird flies in an easterly direction, in a southerly direction, in a westerly direction, and in a northerly direction, and to the intermediate quarters. And if it sees by land anywhere, it flies thither. But if it does not see land, it returns to the ship. In exactly the same way, O priest, when you had searched as far as the Brahma world and found no answer to your questions, you return to the place where you came. The question, O priest, ought never to have been put thus: where do these four states of aggregation cease? The question ought to be as follows: O, where can water, where can wind, where fire and earth, no footing find, where disappear all mine and thine, good, bad, long, short, and coarse and fine, and where do name and form both cease to find in nothingness release. The answer, however, is this: 'tis in the realm of radiance bright, indivisible, eternal light, and indefinite estate of mind, there water, earth, and fire, and wind, and elements of any kind, will nevermore a footing find. There disappear all mine and thine, good, bad, long, short, and coarse and fine. There too will name and form both cease to find nothing in nothingness release. Then the priest understood that the world of matter is restless and remains restless, but peace of heart is a condition of mind which must be acquired by self-discipline, by wisdom, by devotion. So by gods, do we mean the Devi? You know, a bunch of beings that don't have free will. I mean, you know, in one way of thinking, they're like the Malaika, the Ahura, etc., etc. There are certain things said that people say, well, what about that? They do have free. Well, not everything in the myths that we hear is whatever, but you know what I mean. It's not like they don't have personalities. I'm not saying that, but anyways, nor even can Brahma himself, the great Brahma, the supreme being, the Lord and Creator, sacrifice is useless, and prayer and worship are of no avail. But if we desire to attain the highest state of bliss, which is nirvana, we must follow the Blessed One, the teacher of entities and men, and like him, we must by our own effort become lamps unto ourselves and resolutely walk upon the noble eightfold path. Now, maybe that's put a little too, you know, simplified, but our worship is about our attaining, about our becoming of these character traits and bringing them about and all that.